My fans are out here. My woodworking fans, my groupies. They're only here because they want a Tostito. Mama's going to walk them up to the garage here in a minute. Anyway, another short, long, probably short, hopefully, Shopsmith video. Here's one of the other accessories that's kind of neat. Oop, I'm getting talked to. Here's one of the other accessories that's pretty neat. I'm going to have to do some scroll sawing for Cheryl's jewelry box. And that's what this is. This is a scroll saw. I'm doing video. So essentially, a very thin blade. There's my other fan. A very thin blade that can cut very intricate little things. So it's a little bit more than a jigsaw. Certainly a huge cult following of scroll saws, and you can find a million of them out on the Amazon and things to buy, and they're pretty neat. And like I said, kind of a cult following. A lot of folks do a lot of things with scroll saws. Some pretty fancy stuff can be done. I haven't really researched it a whole lot, though, I'll be honest. Mostly just trying to learn how to use it. It's kind of tricky. Really slow speeds. Your hands are right in there next to the blade, which is, you know, not too bad as long as you don't cut your fingers off. You do. I will show you a couple things on this. So there is a little puffer thing right here that puffs some of your stuff away. You'll notice it's not that good. This is pretty old. The bellows might be bad or something. I don't know. I'll have to see. You know, again, this whole unit right here, though, has all been replaced, and it cost me, geez, I don't know, $50, $60 for this whole thing. The one that came with it, the dad had originally, was all cast aluminum, and my dad's pretty notorious for torquing everything down to, you know, 8 million foot-pounds, no matter the size of the screw. And kind of because of that, and a few other places on here, I've had some broken, you know, especially cast aluminum, right? It just can't handle stuff like that. So it's that, and, you know, dissimilar metals and stuff. Anyway, it dissolved. So I bought a new one. I had to go to Shopsmith and buy a new whole carriage unit here, and it's different than the old one. So that was kind of nice, but it still used the same pole going all the way through. I do like this guard a lot better, so you don't get your guard. This little thing actually raises up and down to help settle your piece of wood, right? So if I get my piece of wood, which, by the way, that's what this is a piece of wood. I put a piece of paper on it. If I get my piece of wood down here and I want it to be held down, essentially you just, you know, drop it down there and then tighten the little knob up, and then that'll help hold your wood down so it doesn't jump back up on you. Because it's actually fairly slow speeds. You know, on the, I don't know if I've showed you guys this as much, but, you know, again, you get a big giant electrical motor in here. It has variable speeds, and then that's kind of the whole purpose of the Shopsmith. And anyway, your jigsaw area, which is what this falls under, is really your lowest speeds. You get kind of a big spectrum of them, from A to whatever, but you know, you still have it's still pretty slow. It's slow on the rest of it, right? Because your table saw is over here. Routing and shaping, which I don't know if I'll ever do necessarily on this unit, only because I've seen a lot of really bad press on it. I might try it at some time. Dad bought a bunch of shaping bits and stuff that he never opened, so I don't think he used a lot of those either. The problem with the routing and shaping on this is that the unit just doesn't go fast enough. They have a new Mark 7 that does, but really for routing and shaping, you're up in the really high RPMs, and you need to you know, be that height. And unfortunately, the Mark 5s, which this one is, you don't really get up that high, especially for some of your more fancier bits. So you have a lot of tear out, you have a lot of kickback, you have a lot of things, so this made it really unpopular. But it is one of those things you can do, and like I did yesterday, where you pop this up vertical, right? You can put the other insert in there. You can pop this vertical. I have a whole bunch of shaping arbors that I could put on there. and then some guards that are over in a box over there, and you could, you know, shape boards and use it as a router. Again, Dad bought a router table because the speeds on the router were really a lot more for just a regular router. So anyway, digress. Didn't mean to talk about routers too much. Just talk a little bit about Shopsmith, so I can fit, or the Scrollsaw. So essentially, the thing about the Scrollsaw is it has two arms. That there's one on the top, and then there's one on the bottom down there. You can see, and they basically just go back and forth, up and down, right? So you want your little blade, your teeth to be to be pointing down, cut with a down cut. They do have tons of different types of blades that I have absolutely no ideas about at all. This is your little tensioner gizmo that puts your tension between the two arms. You want it pretty tight, you know, a good guitar string thing. The little hookup on this I really like. That's this part right here. This is actually pretty neat. When you change your blade, you could actually just pop this out, and there's one on the bottom, same way. You just pull this out, quick disconnect pin, you hook up your ends as you want. There's not, the hole here isn't really big enough to feed another one through, but you could, right? You could make an insert that you could do that too. But anyway, it makes it really easy. It also makes it nice so you could drill a hole in and then feed your, which is what I'll be doing for the jewelry boxes. I'll drill a hole, feed it in, and then cut my stuff out and then pull it out when I'm done. And then that way I don't have like any entry points or anything. So what I'm doing here is, this is just a map of Baum Walker Hall, and I pasted it to a piece of the jewelry box. Actually, I kind of feel bad. There's a really gorgeous piece of walnut that I had that I don't know if it was the rain yesterday or just too much moisture. I really need to get going on this jewelry box because now I'm a little paranoid about it, but it absolutely warped horribly. You can see that it just the cup, it just cupped. I just did it like overnight. I don't really know why. It was just sitting over there with the other wood and just absolutely just cupped something fierce. I don't know why, but anyway, I'm using it now to practice some skills. This takes a little getting used to. You got to learn how to. It's not just to drive, you know, like most all your other cutting stuff is just, you know, you drive into the blade. Even the bandsaw, you know, you drive and you know, if you do want to do curved cuts, you know, you got to try to give yourself some room. This thing here, I mean, you literally can go, you can back it up. They actually make spiral cut blades, which might be interesting to try. I don't have that, but essentially you just start it up and you can just stop it right where it's at and flip it around. You can do some really high, intricate, you know, angles by doing that sort of method. I went and kind of did some test stuff on, you know, another piece of walnut, kind of emulating what I needed to do, and realized I needed a lot of practice because this is kind of parts of the pattern that's going to end up being on the maple over here that will be the drawer fronts. So this was kind of what my template is. You can see I had my holes in there for you know, for the Scrollsaw bit. Found out it was a lot more complicated and difficult than I thought it was. So you know, these drawer fronts, I want them to be perfect. So little intimidated a little bit. I've got to put some time in, do some practice. There's also some other stuff I've never done before, so there's a whole lot of never done before stuff I've got to get done here on the Shopsmith for that jewelry box. Some routing stuff. I've never worked a router before in my life till you know, when I started doing the boxes. So I'm actually going to do some shaping on the edges. I'm going to have to do some plunge routing. A lot of things that I haven't done, so I'll do little videos on theirs. But anyway, that is the Scrollsaw.